Hey everybody, feel a little bit of an earthquake? A little rumbly in the tumblies? Well, that's because today we're taking a look at Transformers Legacy United Quake. Kind of had to figure we'd be looking at this if I got that Deluxe Optimus Prime, since they're wave mates. Now, I forgot to mention I got this figure, Prime, and Slipstream from Collecticon Toys. Right now, they're really the only ones online that have all three figures in stock. And to be honest, I wanted to get it all in a set. I'm tired of getting figure waves piecemeal. I just wanted one box. That's it. So Quake is a great update, better than the Titans Return figure to the original G1 Double Target Master. And it includes its Target Masters Tip Top and a heater. I think I actually got that right. Um, it is a heavy retool of the Legacy, um, not like I think the not the original. It actually might be the original Legacy line, Skullgrin. Um, if not, I forgot what that middle line was called, because this is Legacy United. There was Legacy. Uh, it began with an E. Whatever. But yeah, so we'll go into that more when we take a closer look at the figure. I am impressed with what they could do. Um, there is some interesting bits to the transformation, which again we'll go over. And so instead of talking about it, why don't we get to it right now? Evolution. That was the word I was looking for. But Skullgrin was not part of Evolution. I was right in the first place. It was part of the original um, Legacy line. Now, getting a close. Now, interesting to note that Quake and the other double target masters, Autobots and Decepticons, were not released in Japan. So that's kind of an interesting thing. I guess, really, at the time, the story they were trying to tell in Headmasters just a lot of the target masters were really shoehorned in, so I don't think double target masters would have worked. But again, keep in mind there was quite a few figures they got that we didn't. So I was correct in pointing out the target masters. Let me pop them off right here. This is Tip Top, single piece of plastic, single barreled rifle. I do not, on the original file cards, they did actually explain what each weapon was. And this is heater. And as you can see, again, a single piece of plastic. This one is the one that's, I think, is most different from the original toy, because the original toy was all black. This has some blue accents and some wicked sword arms right there. Now, as you saw, they just flip out the barrels. One thing I haven't seen other reviewers mention is that you can actually combine them like the original toys for their combined rifle mode. Now, in my opinion, this works better with heater as the bottom, just because of the molding differences between it and Tip Top. There's some, like, the waist on heater can just be a little tricky to line it all up. This is something they don't show in the instructions. They actually show him holding the weapons up, one on top of the other. But this is one of the key components to the double target masters, because these would be like super weapon, like super rifles that, depending on who was the main barrel, that would like make them like their main weapon, that like a powerful blast or whatever. But put those off to the side, and we'll focus on Quake right here. The barrel is not removable, unfortunately. That was actually a kind of a bonus on the original toy, because then, because it would peg in, you would able to combine it with the target masters and get that little extra layer of playability. Now, the barrel is articulated, as well as this front section right here. That's all for the transformation. And if you try to rotate it, you do notice that it does have a tendency to push that section up. So you're, in some ways, you're kind of limited, but I do think that's kind of cool. Now, I should mention that this whole piece, excuse me, does come separate
in the packaging, as well as the two target masters are wrapped in tissue paper behind the tray. And I do believe that this back panel is the same as on Skullgrin. And we'll mention that. I'll mention more in robot mode about what's similar, what's different. Now, to start the transformation, we're going to start from vehicle mode. And what you want to do is grab this section here, and you're going to just, from the front, pop out the sides a little because the figure does tab in right there, and then pull this section up. There are tabs there on what will be the shoulders that tab into the bottom of the feet. At this point, you can then rock the figure forward and basically have it bending upward at the knees, and then bring the hips up. I guess there's really, from this position, you do have a little bit of a tank Gerwalk, but it's really meant to sit up straight like this. At this point, we're going to come to what I think is like the fiddliest part of the transformation. And it's not bad once you do it a couple times, but it's really like getting these legs into position. Entirely new, by the way. New parts here. But what you want to do is split them apart. And we're going to do this one at a time. You want to flip this section up and around. Get it out of the way on that black panel. Flip the foot up, bring this panel right here to about sideways 90 degrees. And now, most of the issues with the transformation, I don't say issues, but the focus has to be on this double hinge section right here. What you want to do is not pull it off like I just did, but rock it back so that gray piece is flat. That's really like the knee joint. And really now what you can do is, if you did it right, push that black panel in, and then what will happen is the tip of that edge will peg into that gray section. Now that's not the heel or anything. The foot has a dedicated heel. But there you have the leg finished. Let's come around again on this leg and do it all over. And again, you're going to unpeg that section, rotate it around, bring it back, flip the foot up, fold that panel out, and I try to get your finger in here to help guide it. Just swing it around in such a way that it sits forward like that, and then just close the panel up that it tabs into that gray section and straighten the leg out. And just like that, you do have the legs done. Like I said, it can be a little tricky the first couple times, and I'll be very honest, the instructions don't explain as well as they should how to do it. Now, coming up to the top here, what you want to do now is come around to this side, and this is an area where I think the instructions kind of failed, again, because they don't properly explain how to transform the arms. They show you folding them in, but what they don't tell you is, besides folding them in, you have to rotate the bicep inward so that the slot right there lines up with the tab on that panel, and that the forearms can then tab together. So you have that. So rotate it out. Rotate the arms around. At this point, what you can do is, and I recommend using 2 fingers, come in here, and we're going to slide this whole shoulder section down until it snaps into place. Sometimes you'll hear a double snap, sometimes it's a single snap, but it does have to snap into place. Come around this side, bring up the turret just a little, just to get it a little bit out of the way. Start to bend the turret back. That would allow you to open up this panel here, rotate the whole section down and around, and of course I rotated the forearms the wrong way. Close up this chest piece, and on the back here, you're going to fold up the barrel for the turret, and it will peg right there in the back. Finally, to finish off the transformation, You want to come in underneath, and there are little tabs to help fold out the fist. They will soft snap into place. And here you have Quake in its robot mode. Gets a little biggy, then it gets a little smally. If the professional reviewer language there, but you saw how it was stretched out and compressed down. Now we were talking about this being a heavy retool of Skullgrin, and from looking at pictures and even some of my own videos, like I said, the forearms here, including the hands, are from Skullgrin, and that back panel that I showed you in vehicle mode, that's from Skullgrin. Everything else is new tooling, but I also kind of think that that black bar section that we slid, that is from Skullgrin. But other than that, maybe this joint system hinge with the tread there on the back of on back of the foot, that might be. But just that actual bar, everything else has been either shelled over or it's new pieces. The chest is new, the head is new, obviously, the shoulders are new, the legs from the waist down, it's basically new unless you're using some of the joints there. I mean, it's a completely different transformation. I don't think you could actually transform this the same way into Skullgrin. You would have like a lot of parts hanging off and what have you. Although I'm trying to look here. Yeah, I don't see it because there was like tabbing and stuff on the side of the legs for the Skullgrin's weapons to peg into. Now coming in, taking a quick look at the head, and this is a little issue I have. I think there might be some mold flash or something because the head is very limited in terms of its movement, and it's very hard to get it to look up at all. I'm like, every time, if I get it looking up, as soon as I turn it, it angles down. So there is that, and there is a concern that I'm bending the ball instead of actually moving the head on the joint. So there you go. Coming in, here's the target masters. Obviously, the figure can hold them. Double weapon mode, super cannon. Can, of course, dual wield, which was the fun part back in the day. You know, you get a little something something going on up in there. I think in some regards, I kind of enjoy Quake a little bit more than Skullgrin. But if you remember, there was a lot of playability with the weapons that Skullgrin came with, because you had double cannon barrels, gun swords, a whole thing. And then, of course, let's finish off the display. We flip up Tip-Top's barrel, can come in here, peg it on down into the back, and there you have the double blaster right there, which I think this is, besides coming with two target masters, this is the hallmark of the double target master, the combined weapon. Definitely, I think they need to re-release Spinister to fit in this aesthetic. It's kind of funny how they were like, yeah, we don't have money to include the target masters, so they just sold us like repaints with very slight retools of the other target masters as Spinisters that look nothing like these. And then we got Needle Nose, who came with both the weapons. And even before that, in the Thrilling 30 line, I think it was Scoop came with its double target masters. And yeah, they don't have to be articulated. That's accurate to the original toy. So there's that. But I dig Quake. I appreciate what they were going for here. I know some people have been a little meh on Quake, and I think a lot of that might have to do with the legs and stuff. Yeah, there's a little bit of hollowness here on the back, but I mean it is filled in by like the joints, that extra treads and stuff. In terms of the articulation, I mean you got that nice knee bend, swivels, stuff like that, ankle pivot for days, waist. So bicep swivel, 90 degrees at the elbow. My only real issue is the head, just getting it to like look. So there's that. But I think that's about it. So how about we pause and we come back with my final thoughts. Quake is a good figure. I think it really takes that Skullgrin mold and kicks it up a notch. I think even if you own Skullgrin, if you weren't looking for the shared parts, you really wouldn't notice that this is a retool. Maybe when you start fooling around with the legs, and that's really a compliment to how these figures come together. That um, if you don't realize a figure's a retool, that's a good thing. Like I said, I definitely think now we need a Spinister retool and release the rest of the Autobot double target masters, and maybe even do a reissue, a scoop, maybe like a new tooling or something that can just fit in with all these others. Because to have to go back now with 10 years to get that Thrilling 30 release might be a bit much, and who knows if the figure aesthetically will fit in. But I think it would just be nice. I know it's kind of funny that here we are, and we have the double target masters almost done before we really have the regular target masters done. But I think that's something Hasbro's going to address going forward. Um, and again, it's actually kind of funny because they're all going to be the same size. Something you may not realize is the double target masters were originally supposed to be smaller and at a cheaper price point than the main target masters. One other thing I wanted to point out, bringing in Optimus Prime here, and yes, I almost forgot. Same wave, same price point. Notice the difference in size. Yes, I understand parts count. Yes, I understand all of this, but just makes you think a little in terms of what's going on. To be honest, if anything, I would say Quake should be the smaller one because it has more parts. But just throwing that out there. Still a really great figure, by the way. So really, that's about it that I can say for Quake. I do believe in terms of retail, this is starting to show up at Walmart's. I don't think it's actually shown up yet at Targets or anything like that, so something to keep an eye out for. But in terms of online, I know this was popping in and out of stock at walmart.com, but really the best way is, last I checked, was Collecticon Toys, because they had all three. Yes, it's different price structures, but you get all three at once, one box, and it's done. So, because as far as I know, this is the last wave of 2024. But if you like this review, like, comment, and subscribe. While I always appreciate the views, the likes, comments, and subscriptions help to communicate to YouTube through the algorithm that my channel should be exalted and held upon high. If you want to make the ultimate sign of support, I do have a Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/chuckdog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month, $12 a year. No thrills, no tears, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you to help me help you bring figures like this to you, as well as keeping up the infrastructure of the channel. But as I always say, especially now we get into holiday season, can't afford the $1 a month, $12 a year, your views are more than thanks enough. Patreon is just a cherry on top of an already generous Sunday. So that's about it. Once again, this is your old pal Chuck for Quake with Tip Top and Heater. And I guarantee you I'm going to forget that in 5 minutes. We will see you next time.